Baylen Dupree's new Tourette's tic leaves fiancé Colin Dooley in pain, and fans in awe of his patience. Baylen Dupree has never shied away from showing her authentic self, and that is exactly what has drawn millions of people to her story. The 23-year-old content creator, who was diagnosed with Tourette syndrome in 2020, has built a massive following on TikTok and Instagram by being open about her tics, her struggles, and her sense of humor about living with the neurological disorder. With over 10 million followers on TikTok and another 2 million on Instagram, she has turned what many people once considered a limitation into her greatest strength, using her platform to raise awareness, break stereotypes, and connect with people who may be going through similar experiences. Her openness eventually led to her TLC show, Baylen Out Loud, which premiered earlier this year and quickly captured the attention of fans eager to learn more about her daily life, her relationship, and the unfiltered reality of Tourette's. In the Season 2 premiere of her series, Baylen once again allows cameras to capture the most raw and personal moments of her life. The premiere features an incident between Baylen and her fiancé, Colin Dooley, that perfectly illustrates both the unpredictability of her condition and the patience and understanding required to be her partner. The couple is in the kitchen making smoothies together when Baylen suddenly develops a new tic that leaves Colin in a world of pain. Without warning, her body jolts into a kicking motion, and she finds herself kicking Colin directly in the groin. Shocked, Colin doubles over in pain, exclaiming "Oh, goddamn," while holding himself. The moment is both shocking and uncomfortably funny, something that perfectly represents the way Tourette's can insert itself into everyday life in unexpected ways. Baylen admits that this particular tic is new and strange, even for her. She explains that she has no idea where the urge to kick came from, but when it arises, it's overwhelming and impossible to suppress. Colin, who has already experienced his fair share of painful tics from Baylen, explains in a confessional that being punched in the groin has become somewhat of a common occurrence. He acknowledges that her condition often manifests in physical ways, sometimes leaving him as the unfortunate target. As if to underscore his point, Baylen involuntarily punches him in the groin again while he's speaking. The moment grows quiet, and Colin bends over in pain while Baylen softly whispers, "Sorry, I had to do that," clearly distressed but unable to control her body's impulses. Baylen further explains that her tics often feel like an overwhelming sensation that builds up in her body until she can no longer hold it in. She compares it to a burning, itching feeling in her wrist that demands release. Once she acts on the tic, whether it's a punch, a kick, or a verbal outburst, the feeling of discomfort subsides. It's both painful and relieving, and it gives outsiders a glimpse into the constant push and pull she lives with every day. For Baylen, this is not something she chooses to do, but rather an uncontrollable neurological reflex that can appear in different forms at any time. It is one of the many reasons she has dedicated her platform to educating people about the reality of Tourette's, breaking down the harmful misconceptions that it is simply about shouting inappropriate words or phrases. The journey that Baylen has shared with her followers has always been deeply personal, but one of the most touching parts of her story has been her relationship with Colin. The two first connected in November 2022 through a dating app, and Baylen has been candid about how special it felt that Colin went out of his way to learn about her condition even before their first date. She recalled how he spent time researching Tourette's so that he could better understand what she was going through, a gesture that instantly made her feel seen and cared for. While their relationship has had its fair share of challenges due to her condition, Baylen has repeatedly praised Colin for being patient, observant, and endlessly supportive. Colin himself admits that he is still learning every day, and Baylen points out that she too is still figuring things out about her own condition. Tourette's is complex, and no two cases are the same. Symptoms can change, evolve, or disappear altogether, making it a constant process of discovery and adjustment. This unpredictability can be overwhelming at times, but it also strengthens the bond between Baylen and Colin, who continue to navigate each challenge together. Their relationship has become an inspiration to many fans, not just because of their love story but because of the way it highlights empathy, understanding, and resilience in the face of something many people do not fully understand. In February of this year, Baylen and Colin announced their engagement in an exclusive interview with People. Baylen spoke about how excited they both were to share their journey with the world, including all of the ups and downs that come with her life and their relationship. For her, Colin has been more than just a partner, he has been a source of healing and comfort. She described him as her medicine, explaining that his presence has been like a prescription she had been waiting for, one that never runs out. She said it was simply meant to be, and that he has the ability to distract her from the difficulties of her condition in ways that no one else can. Baylen's openness about her love for Colin has also touched fans who admire how deeply she values his support. She often emphasizes that he doesn't just tolerate her condition, he actively works to understand it, learn about it, and support her through it. That kind of love and commitment has become one of the cornerstones of her journey, showing that meaningful relationships can thrive even under challenging circumstances. For Baylen, Colin's presence is not just comforting, it's empowering, giving her the strength to continue pushing forward, creating content, and using her platform to educate the world about Tourette's. The kitchen moment in the Season 2 premiere, while uncomfortable and even painful for Colin, is ultimately a perfect example of the honesty and transparency that Baylen brings to her show. It captures the raw reality of living with Tourette's, the unpredictability, the involuntary actions, the humor that can sometimes come from awkward situations, and the deep patience required from both the person with the condition and their loved ones. Baylen's willingness to let fans see these moments underscores her mission to normalize conversations about neurological disorders and break down stigma. Beyond the personal, Baylen continues to use her platform to remind people that Tourette's is far more complex than most realize. Her advocacy has already made an impact by giving a massive audience a window into the daily realities of the disorder. She has shown that life with Tourette's is not about limitations but about adapting, finding strength, and building supportive relationships that allow people to thrive. For her, the goal has always been bigger than just her own story. She wants to create a world where people with Tourette's and other conditions are understood, accepted, and valued for who they are, not judged or misunderstood for the symptoms they cannot control. As she embarks on a new season of Baylen Out Loud, Baylen remains committed to that mission. She continues to embrace both the difficult and the joyful moments of her life, inviting fans along for the journey. Her love story with Colin, her openness about her new tics, and her humor in the face of struggle all remind audiences that life is not about perfection, it's about authenticity, resilience, and connection. The premiere is just one example of how Baylen's story continues to resonate. It's real, it's raw, and it's filled with love.